Hey, Sidney Klein, Klein Combat Sports of Pikeville, Kentucky. We're here to just give you a little introduction to who we are and what we do. We're a MMA, Brazilian Jiu-jitsu, and wrestling, Muay Thai type school, a little bit of everything. And we got started about 6 years ago now, I guess, 5 years ago, something like that. Gave up my house, wanted to do jiu-jitsu, didn't have a place. So I gave up my house and rented a gym, bought some mats, moved into a little studio apartment upstairs, and we've been pretty well trucking along ever since. Today, what we're here for is we had a little in-house promotion, kind of last minute. We had some guys competing and moving up, and it was time. So I put it out on Facebook, and within 1 day's notice, we had everybody come in and do a little promotion. So did pretty well. I had one guy got moved up a color and then handed out a bunch of stripes, and learned some stuff and got to spend some time together. And for us, that's really what it's all about. We're a real small school, which works to our advantage in some ways. You can't pull the same tricks over and over, and so you got to develop your game, you got to evolve your game faster. And school, you end up being real close to your guys. You know, you get to know each other real well, and we're all family. Jiu-jitsu serves a lot of purposes. It can be just for the sportive aspect of itself. It can be as a part of MMA, which is sportive. It can also be a part of self-defense, you know, street situations. So my favorite techniques are the ones that work in any situation, or that are really easily modified just by switching a grip or something. Really, those pieces of overlap on the Venn diagram between sportive, MMA, and self-defense. The stuff in the middle is really my favorite, and it has to be your go-to. That should be the core of your game. So here's a little half guard escapes, you know, slash stand-up, slash ejection that I really like because it works for any of those situations. So let's do it from this angle, not the best. We're in half, and I'm in a bad situation. He's got the underhook. So this is not what I want. Ideally, I want to be here, really deep under him with the underhook so that I can play. But if he's got the underhook, I'm already losing. So maybe I just want to reverse or get up or just get out of this situation. So what I'm going to do is reach, and I can grab my foot if I need to for a little assistance, depending on how hard he's cranking this underhook. But I'm just going to make a little space. I can shrimp and use my knee to make space. But I'm throwing this foot in front of his thigh. Raise it so they can see that. I'm just dropping it right in here behind my leg. Okay? Now, if this is gi jiu-jitsu, I'll grab his gi and reach across and put it in my hand. So I've got this piece of action here. And I'll use that hook to push him a little and get to my hand and do just a technical stand-up. Now when I'm doing this, I'm going to straighten my arm and drive because I want a lot of pressure in the back of his shoulder. So I'm driving down. Right? I'm up real tall, driving down, leaning forward. Right? I'm not up here, down. And I'm going to start pushing my knee into his hip and circling this foot back. He'll fall right into side or to knee on belly. I'm in bottom on half guard. He's got the underhook. Now if this is MMA or anything but gi jiu-jitsu, once I get my hip out and everything, I don't have this to hand to myself and use for a counter pressure. If I don't have his gi for counter pressure, I'm going to reach inside my thigh. I'm going over his arm and inside my thigh right here. Just leaving my arm real straight. So then I'm going to, same thing, bump. I can use this hook a little to push, get to my hand. Real strong pressure down on his shoulder. Stand up, and I'm pushing with my knee to drive him over into the knee on belly. One more time real quick, just to make sure. So if I stand up and he's got a good post and I'm not really getting him over, I can always just reach for his sleeve or his wrist and pull him on over too to finish it off. So sometimes if you get a little loose or whatever, you may have to start grabbing and jerking, but it's all good. For me, it's several things. One, when I really got into jiu-jitsu, I dabbled before, but I really got into it just as I was graduating college. And it was not only a way for me to, you know, lose a little weight and get in shape, have something physical to do, but also it takes a tremendous amount of mental energy. So once I graduated college, I was kind of missing that intellectual part of my life, and found it in jiu-jitsu of all places. You know, wasn't wasn't a book or a philosophy, but it was jiu-jitsu as a whole. Really gave me that, not just physical but mental stimulation that I needed. But I've also developed this whole family here at our gym and the Carlson Gracie Kentucky Network. All my brothers and sisters around the state and around the world with the Carlson Gracie Federation has really been a blessing to us. And I got something that I can hand on to my kids. My dad was a martial artist, and one of the only things we ever talked about was people punching each other in the head. We weren't football fans or anything like that, so we talked about martial arts all the time, and so it's been something, kind of a family tradition. And now my two sons come in and gi up just like everybody else, so it's given me that part of my relationship with my blood family as well. Well, like I said, I'm married with 2 kids. I've got a full-time job, and I run this gym and teach more classes than anybody here. So the strains on my time are pretty tremendous, because still in there I have to eke out my own training. You know, not that I don't have great guys here that push me and work my game, but you know, I still have to go check in with my coach, I have to check in with Mike O'Donnell, I have to check in with Carlson, and you know, when guys have competitions, I've got to do that. So it's a tremendous strain of my time. But also having a small gym like this, this thing, we purge money. We don't make a dime here. So it's also a financial strain on my family, being, you know, lower middle class family in poverty-stricken Eastern Kentucky, to sacrifice, for myself to sacrifice, and also ask my family, my wife and sons, to sacrifice so that we can have this for everybody. You know. Our gym is probably a far more laid back than any other gym I've been to. Not a lot of bowing, not a lot of structure to our class. We aim to have enough structure to function and be efficient, but you know, one of the reasons we have 2-hour classes as opposed to the more traditional 1-hour classes is it allows us to be a little more lax. If somebody wants to explore something that wasn't a part of the syllabus that day, or somebody's got questions, or we just feel like talking about a fight for 10 minutes, it doesn't eat into our time too badly, you know. So it's half jiu-jitsu school, half men's club lodge, you know. But we're a very laid back, very close knit, you know, team oriented school. Man, we have had and continue to have be blessed with really, really talented guys. You know, the one person, like if you ask around the state, you know, most people know me because I interact with them a lot. Not that I'm a talented guy, but they know me. And Aaron Goebel, everybody knows him because he is the epitome of what jiu-jitsu is supposed to do for somebody. He's about 6'2" and, you know, 150 pounds soaking wet. So he's a small guy. He's not the strongest guy in the world, but he's able to use jiu-jitsu to just choke the guts out of big, strong guys. And he's incredibly skilled, and he's a good example of that. And then Mark Pinson's a purple belt here, who's also small, kind of slight guy, but got a really cerebral game. And then Mike, of course, Lawson, he's trained here and then went to Seneca's for a while. Was a blessing to us in bringing back all the stuff he learned from Seneca, and you know, continues to be one of the guys that pushes the upper echelon at the school. And then newer comers, Mitch Lawson is phenomenal. He's just started like 7 months ago, doing gi jiu-jitsu. He grappled before and done MMA, but now that he's actually put the gi on, his game is just accelerated. He's on the podium at every single tournament he goes to. So earlier today he got his blue belt. So he's one. And then we've got a whole bunch. I mean, everybody here's got a talent, but him in particular, as a newcomer, is doing really well. As a whole, I jokingly call us the Nerd Squad because there's probably $10,000 worth of Magic the Gathering cards in the homes of my students. And I think at last count we had 6 or 7 IT professionals that trained here. So, you know, not a lot of meatheads here. We've got a few of those. They're downstairs now. But not a lot of meatheads. It's mainly just really technical guys with families and day jobs. But the beauty of that is on those occasions when we get to see them get on the mats with the other half, and they at least keep up, if not excel. And that's the best part of this job. That's the best part of doing what I do, is seeing Aaron triangle some guy that's 3 times his size and plays college football, or when the new guy, the big beastly guy that Mike choked out the other day. I was on cloud 9 for 3 days over that. Just seeing jiu-jitsu do what it's supposed to do in guys that it's supposed to do it for is great for me. So that's Nerd Squad is probably the best way to put it. I promised I'd show my buddies at Four Seasons, send them some video on some setups for the paper cutter choke. So we'll do that one, that way we can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. We're going to start from half guard, and we're going to do a series. We're going to start with real simple half guard pass to a transition and finish in a paper cutter. So if the guy's got the underhook and he's doing a good job of keeping me thrown off, and I'm trying to whizzer, trying to do everything I can to keep him from popping out or escaping, I like this pass as a go-to, but a lot of people do it as a last resort. So when they're doing a good job here, turn, grab the pants, and squash this underhook. Stay as close to the hip as you can. If you're too high, the underhook becomes active again. Now I'm in trouble. So I have to stay really low on his arm and really squash him down. Now I'm going to walk heel toe, my foot right up to his butt. See how his legs fell off? Grab again above the knee. Even if they don't, when I jack him up like that, they come off super easy. So now I'm pointing my toes away from his butt so that my shin's pointing this way. I just grab his toes, push my hips and knee forward to drive into his calf like a calf cutter. Probably not going to get a tap out of this. I mean, it's not really a calf cutter, but it's enough pressure to make him resist. And as he resists, I let go and pull my leg out. Now, that's real simple. We'll go over it one more time a little bit. So I'm turned down on the underhook, holding his pants real tight, elbows in tight. I don't want to be lazy. He's just going to pull his arm out. Keep it real tight. I'm centered right over his hips. I'm going to heel toe up to his butt, shin down, pulling his toes, pull that out. Now I need to deal with this underhook. So I'm going to take my elbow and pass it into the ground, and I start backing up real far towards his head. Okay? All right, so now we find ourselves in this position after passing the half, and I'm going to start backing up now. Right? Swam my elbow inside the mat, I'm backing up, and I'm trying to pinch his arm to his head. I'm not just leaving it down low because he's going to reach around my face. He's going to start sticking his, doing stuff with his arm, pushing my head. But if I can keep this glued up here to his ear, he can't do that stuff. So then I can pinch with my elbow, swing my arm around, and I'm going to grip his gi, palm up. 4 fingers in, palm up. My head's going to swing to this side. I'll pull on his knee and drive my head down, just making it as hard as I can for him to move. And I back around. Keeping my hips low, so I'm smashing his face on the way across, making it as uncomfortable as possible. And then as soon as I can, I block his bicep. Because if he gets his arms up and starts defending, now I've got extra steps. I can switch this back to the other side by swimming in here, gripping palm up, stepping around to this side. But I'd rather not have to do that step if I don't have to. So I just block the bicep. When I get across to this side, this hand slides up, grips his gi here, my elbow comes down. Now, to finish this, my elbow chocks his body. This elbow's pushed out in front of me like a bulldozer blade. If I keep it tucked under me too far, I end up walking over it and I'm not choking. It has to be in front of me. I'm getting behind my arm. Okay? So, and he's going to try to follow me. This elbow stays in place, so my elbows are spreading out this way. Head down to avoid him defending, because I'm hanging my head up, he's going to reach under, and now when I'm trying to put pressure, it puts pressure on my own leg. So it's better if I do this whole thing with my ear on his chest. Okay? Run through one more time real quick. Half guard. He gets the underhook. He's pushing me out. Push his head. Switch. His down position. Heel toe. Pulling his toes. Jerk my foot out. Swim my elbow in. Back up. All the way around. Block his bicep. Reach for the shin. I look for somebody who's willing to check their give a damn and their ego at the door and come in here and like my coach, Mike O'Donnell, always says, in here on the mats, this is the real world. It's everything out there that's crazy and will kill you. So I don't like guys. I don't want guys who are willing to bring their outside issues in here. I want them to come in, relax, have a good time, and leave that kind of lax atmosphere the way it should be, because that's a really good atmosphere for learning. I mean, it may not be the best atmosphere for really driving somebody to a world-class competition, but we can flip that switch if we need to, and we have. But it is a really good atmosphere for learning. So I want that in a student, and just it's kind of like the people who vote for president based on who they'd like to have a beer with. I want a student that I wouldn't care a bit to go out and have a beer with. Just good attitudes is all I ask. Knowledge, understanding, fairness, and somebody who's willing to push you. I think I do well on all of those fronts. The only one I get kind of lazy on is because we are a little bit more of a lax atmosphere. Unless somebody says I have a fight, I have a competition, I have a reason to be pushed hard physically, that's one place that I probably need improvement. Now I feel like I'm at a job interview. But I think that's pretty much what they look for, is the same thing we look for in a student: somebody with a good attitude, somebody who's knowledgeable and just has something to offer, but isn't an asshole about it. I think the main reason that we have such a high dropout rate at White and Blue is because a lot of people don't even know what they're getting into. I've had students come into a jiu-jitsu class and think they're walking into a taekwondo class. They think it's karate, and then I'm like, all right, well, we're going to throw you on the ground and choke your guts out. Then they're turned off by it. Also, I mean, it's just a part of our culture here. A lot of people are all talk, and everybody's going to be the next UFC champ, and everybody's going to be the next John Jones, and everybody's going to be the next whoever's hot. And then they come in here and they realize that this isn't basket weaving. It's not as fun as you think it is. It hurts. This is, like Hickson Gracie says, jiu-jitsu is a little piece of hell. So that's just not something a lot of people can adapt to. So there's a little bit of time there in white and blue belt when the cream has to rise to the top. I don't think anything really changes. I think by that time, because the mats are a crucible, it's a place where we can, through our hard work and through jiu-jitsu, we can burn off all of those bad traits and burn off those impurities. By around purple belt, you've gained your confidence, you're getting respect from your peers, you've got pressure on you at that point. I always tell people the best place to be in the world in jiu-jitsu is a blue belt. You get this much respect, but anybody can tap you and it's no big deal. It's like, oh, that white belt tapped that blue belt. Well, who cares? It's not a big deal. Somewhere around purple belt, though, I think a lot of those people who aren't serious, and the crucible's done its job with burning off those lesser elements, and you're just left with a pure set of students. We have a twofold system here, especially we're real strict about it up until about blue belt, and then after that we do a little bit more just based on how you roll as a whole, because I feel like by the time you get to where you're being considered for your purple belt, you should have a good game of your own developed. So we do like a 50-50. 50% of up to blue belt and a little thereafter is more knowledge based. How well do you know things? How well can you teach things? How deep is your understanding of jiu-jitsu? And the other half is actually doing it, putting your money where your mouth is. And then somewhere around purple, we get a little bit more lax about that. It becomes more about how well your game as a whole is developing on the mats under stress. And then, not that we have anybody here at this level, but when you get to around black belt, it becomes more about what you're giving back. Not so much how far you're developing and what you're doing, but what you're giving back to the art. Liquor and religion. That's an odd mix for everybody who's not Catholic. My day job is, which I love, is I'm a sales consultant for Southern Wine and Spirits. So I sell liquor for a living, and that's something I do. Learning about it, teaching it, and things just like jiu-jitsu. Learning it, teaching it, not so much laying drunk all the time, but I really enjoy that, and the art. And I like anything where art and science mix. So cooking and making alcohol, brewing beer. I'm a home brewer. Jiu-jitsu. These are places where art and science collide, and that's what I really love. And also, I'm a catechist at our church, St. Martha's Catholic Church in Prestonsburg, and that's what my undergraduate and graduate degrees are in, so I teach. I've got a blog on that. I spend a lot of time in study on that, and then really everything is supplemental to my one job as a husband and father. So my days are full of hobbies. Everything. Winston Churchill once said, if you're going through hell, just keep going. And if you can't learn that lesson on the jiu-jitsu mats when you're first getting started out as a white belt or a blue belt, you've got some big purple belt or some big guy just crushing the life out of you, smashing your face, gnashing your teeth together, and you're leaving with black eyes. And everybody first starts, they get those big bruises on the insides of their arms here, and but you just persistence above all else. And then how force isn't always the best option. Coercion is a better option, and that's true in my day job as sales. I can try to shoehorn a product into a store, or I can do my job as a salesman and convince them why it's the best thing for them, things like that. And also, like I said before, having an interaction with my kids. It's really jiu-jitsu's given me everything. It's a major pillar in my life. All right, for this one. Make some space behind us. All right, for this one, we're going to do it from a spider guard sweep. This is one of my favorite spider guard sweeps. We may have to reset and stuff. We don't have a lot of space in here. This is our secondary mat area, but I'm going to just go and grab my pants, do the whole deal. Yeah, let's make it a little realistic. So I'm going to cut my hip to the side, kick with my right leg, and kick my left leg out and pull on his sleeve. Go ahead and grab it again, just to break his grip. Boom. Now this one comes up and around here, and I reach for his leg. I like to drop this foot all the way behind his leg. Yeah, see, it's already messing with his base. Now I can do this like an X-guard sweep with this leg in, but really I like to drop it all the way to the mat. So I'm going to drop all the way to the mat, pump, and roll. Now this is kind of an awkward position to land in, and you have to pass this just right, especially if you're in competition, because if I just sit up on this and the guy screams or yells or anything, they're going to, if bicep cutters are illegal, that's an issue. So I don't even deal with it. I go straight from this position when he falls. I dive for the underhook here and reach for the paper cutter here. And then I finish just like we did in the last technique. Head down, cap this foot over, windshield wiper over his arm. Then I can grab his wrist and back around. So I'm pinning this with my leg as I come around. We landed with my thigh on top of his arm. I can do this with my hand or my foot. Pass over, and then pin it, and the hand comes in. What I'm trying to do here is just get ahead of his hand. I don't have to control it the whole time. I just want to win the race, because he's going to try to pull his hand in to defend, and I need mine ahead of him in the race. See? Now I'm ahead. I'll be in the choke way before he defends, as long as I've got this on his bicep, on his sleeve, as long as I'm ahead of him. What I don't want is to be here and then have to fight with him when he comes in. Yeah. So, pin here, grip, choke. Now let's do the transition back, just real quick. I'm holding here, he does defend. He's doing a good job. So I swim my hand in, reach over, now I have the same grip with both hands. I switch my hand, walk around, and I'll pull my elbow out first to block his arm. And then I go to the grip and finish the choke. So the beauty of that is you can go back and forth as many times as you need to. So you can do this as a drill. Start here, switch, walk around for the choke, he defends, switch, walk around for the choke, switch. Notice my head swinging each time and I'm just pivoting on my shoulder. It's a real good way to work on fighting the defense and getting the choke anyway. But even if you don't get the choke, it becomes a great dominance position. There's a couple people that come to mind who has the most, as would it depend on what I'm doing that day. I think Carlson Gracie Jr. and Senior both, that whole style that came out of the Champion Academy in Copa has been huge for me. And then Mike O'Donnell, of course, my coach, has become family, real good friend of mine, and we have real similar ideas on jiu-jitsu and stuff. So we've really come together on that stuff. And then Luis Lamau Heredia, when I first started, I met him at the best possible time when I was first getting started and first learning stuff. And just little tidbits of information, little things that I learned from him really changed my game from the beginning. A lot of even though I've probably only trained with him, 8 or 10 times, we've interacted through Facebook and on the phone a lot and stuff, but even in the limited time I've spent with him, huge amounts of my game are built on the lessons I learned from him. So I could do this the rest of my life, and I'll never not be grateful to him. And then Carlson, of course, and O'Donnell. And outside of that, Tyler Burke, who for a very short time when he was living here before I blew my knee, was amazingly influential to me. So mainly those guys, and then my students too. They're my best teachers. I spend more time with them than anybody, so my students are probably my best teachers. Whoa, that's a big question. My mom, first of all. You asked me that because you thought I'd cry. My mom, probably most of all. She's my best friend. She's my everything. My wife changed my whole life. The first time I saw her, she stepped out of a car in a parking garage, and I told my best friend, "Hey, see that girl? I'm going to marry her." And it was quite a bit went down the road before I did, but she's been huge. And anybody with kids can tell you your kids will change your life. But in the jiu-jitsu world, probably O'Donnell. He's a big advocate of life and jiu-jitsu are the same thing, especially for somebody whose entire life like him is dedicated to it. It has to be, but seeing him outside the gym is a rare thing. He's always there, always working. Even when he's not on the mats, he's in his office scheming, doing something. So, there's a lot of people. It's hard to pick one person. Dedication, pure and simple. It's an old cliche that a black belt's a white belt and never gave up, but there's tons of truth to that. Anybody who's willing to work and spend the time and the effort is going to get this. I've got students here. I won't name Brian's name, but you can beat your head against. It's like beating your head against the wall to teach them something forever, and then one day they go, "Oh yeah, I got it," and then they click. It just clicks. So, and then they've got it from then on. Their game's changed with that one understanding, and so persistence and dedication is really what it's all about. The same thing. It's another one of those things that you learn about life from jiu-jitsu. Being a poor guy from Eastern Kentucky, having to work hard to earn money for college and scrape by to pay for food for my kids and everything else. It took me a long time to do things. I was on and off with school. I got my degree. I was on and off in grad school, and just sticking to things, no matter how long it takes, is real important with life. And they say 9 out of 10 small businesses fail. So you open 10 businesses, one's going to succeed. You just keeping your head up and keeping at it. A couple of things that I've learned over the years about that. One is, and this is true with life too, allow them to be open-minded, allow them to explore things. Allow your students to come in. I've got people come in all the time and be like, this is either brilliant or completely stupid, help me with it, and just letting them explore on their own and come up with their own things. And I've learned a lot. Like I said, I've learned a lot from my students. I've had people come to me with ideas that with just a little tweaking or finding a place in their game for it becomes a legitimate part of my game too, not just theirs, but mine also. So allowing them to be open-minded is probably one of the biggest things, and letting them explore. If nothing else, I've brought it to this area. There's been other guys try and fail, and there's a lot of guys that have helped me along the way, so I'm not taking 100% credit, but anybody would be completely insane to put out the money and the effort to open a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu school in Eastern Kentucky. And luckily I was crazy enough to do it, and it's at least I feel like it's been a blessing to the community. We've been a blessing to the community, I feel like, at least in some occasions. I've had guys lose over 100 pounds each, guys lose 80, 90 pounds each. I've had people tell me flat out, this is the only good thing in my life. Thank you so much. And I've gotten letters from parents, multiple letters from parents and wives and stuff saying thank you so much for, doing what you do, because it's been such a blessing to our family and my husband or my kid or whatever. people who were addicted to drugs and now had an outlet and a whole new social circle here of good people. You know, there's good people here. So if you're having a problem like that and you keep going back to your same social circle, you keep falling into the same habits. But this is a way for people to break out of that, you know, and especially in this area where we've had such drug problems. But I mean, that's probably been the biggest contribution, not just for jiu-jitsu, but for the community as a whole. You know, I feel like that's what I've brought to the table.
We would say go train, but we haven't said fuck in any of these videos. So.